The only reason you're recognizing this is because of the giant bull bar in the front. If there was no other context or that wasn't there, you'd be like, what? But another thing that gives away, obviously, is the manifold. Yeah, this is the turbo mower. And you might already notice something about the front end. It kind of seems raked. Well, that's because this sucker has a stiff front end now. So no flex or anything of any kind. Those are welded directly to the frame now. And it has a modified sway bar and all that good stuff. Now the rear has to be lowered. I'll tell you what I'm doing with this. This is gonna become a dirt track / gravel racing mower. So it is gotta have all this stuff done to it. And it may even have a new turbocharger put onto it, not that junk one. Lock to lock is a lot faster now. And that's because butchering the lengthening of the steering rod and then shortening this roll bar. But that's not the interesting stuff. There's not a whole lot in high quality out there about lowering a rear axle. I'm gonna do that now. So what you're gonna need for the most part is a 9/16 ratchet. That one and the one on the other side, 9/16. This one's pretty simple to get to, so I'll do each one on both sides. It's literally that easy. So I'll take these two off, just like this. So as you can see, nice and loose. So what you're gonna wanna do now is just take your bolts and stuff, and even these ones, and put them off to the side somewhere. These mowers happen to have these nifty side pads where you can put stuff. Now I'm gonna get to removing this entire back section. All right, it's off. I was struggling a little bit because it was getting stuck on the springs and the gas tank, but now it's no longer stuck on those. Push the wire through. You gotta push the wire through the little wire access hole. And then once that's done, you have access to the rear section of the frame after you take the fuel tank out, which is not an easy task, but it's a task that you have to do. But I'm gonna clean this up real quick because it is a mess. So that's what it would look like if it was cleaned up entirely. But for now, I'm just gonna try and take the fuel tank off. Okay, everything is off and out of the way. And this is the part where most videos out there will tell you yada yada, whatever. I'm just gonna put it down simple because this is a higher resolution video. It's more for this time and less for 2000s. I'm just gonna go through something really quickly. These mounts right here, they mount to your axle. You want to shift those up. And the way you do that is by cutting the frame out and moving those up. It's just that simple. You go ahead and do that if you want to, but don't get too crazy with it because if you lower it too far, you're gonna need a whole pulley system. And I'm not here to do that. I'm here to lower it just as much as I did the front, which is barely any, and barely any back here. So I'm gonna clean all of this out by taking it over to the pressure washer, or actually taking the pressure washer over here and wash this out. So I've got the 9/16 Z-bar ratcheting wrench on here. We're going to take off these side bolts to remove the rear plate that you would normally remove to get access to the belt on the pulley and stuff. Catch you guys after I remove this. Now of course you're going to want to remove those rear tires right off of there. So to look at, after taking off the let's see here. After taking off the little cups, you're gonna want to just get like a screwdriver, wedge it in there, and you know how E-clips work. Pop them right off. So take the E-clip off, put it in cup. That wheel fought me good and hard. I'll show you why. This is what regular axle looks like. Minor amounts of surface rust. This is what that axle looked like. It's all rusted, but it's off. So now we got to mock up where we want it. That front end, I have no idea how much it's lowered by, but I know it's lowered by enough to make a difference. So I'll just try and take some measurements, pen out with the paint marker what I need to chop. First I got to take that back piece off, and I'll give you guys an update when I've done. Boom, rear cover gone. Now this is the point, and all the early 2000s videos that you'd usually see where they cut a ludicrous amount out of the body, slap it all the way up here, and then put a whole pulley conversion drive. And that's the race mower way to do it. This is the cheap budget dirt track mower that can also be used around the farm. So it's not going to be as cool looking as the other mowers, but it is going to be functional and it is going to be fun. So I'll catch you guys when I've done some layout work and some modifications. Alright folks, I think this is as far as I'm going to get today. What I've done is I've rough notched this side out. So don't do this for the final. It's about a quarter of the way up this hole right here on the right side. It looks like half on this, but it isn't. It's 1.5 inches up, which is right about a quarter of that hole. So I've cut that, and then I'm going to final cut it with an actual grinder later. This is as far as I'm going to get today. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing out of the way somewhere, and hopefully I'll be able to get this done. So I'll see you guys when I get back to work on this. Cut to the next day. Very obviously the next day now. I'm kidding, how would you know? It could definitely be like 3 days in the future, but it isn't. It is the next day. And came back to this, and this time I've got with me a grinder with an extra wheel. So I can actually get to work on this and put these mounts a little higher. Okay, both sides are now notched out. This one is a little bit notched further this way, but that's not that big of a deal because I'm going to put these in the exact same position side to side anyway, and it's going to be further back, more towards where the old ones used to be, just shoved up. So they're both going to be level, and the way I'm going to do that is by putting the whole axle in with a jack so that it just stays perfectly level throughout the entire process. No roll forward or roll back or anything like that. And then I got to cut a notch for the brake linkage, which sounds hard, but it isn't actually that bad. You just have to cut like a straight notch right around here. So the first thing I'm going to do before cutting the notch out for the brakes is taking this off first so that the notch will be made, and then I can put this in. Because what's going to happen is, as I'm cutting down here-ish, it's going to start cutting into that. So you don't want that happening, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen that. Okay, that's off. I'm going to start notching about here up, and then as far back as this can go, which is only about there. So I'm just going to draw a line for a nice box. Alrighty folks, got that bolted in, not welded, just clamped and bolted so I know what's level. And I'll just bolt it into place. The original bolt positions were straight up and down, so there was no torque control, but now there's side to side. There will be torque control once I get that tightened down, so it won't flop around all over the place. And then I'm working on relocating the shift linkage right here to the side instead of the middle, because then you'll have a little bit easier grab position of the shift linkage. So that's ready to go. So that's how you lower these. You cut it and you bolt it. It's pretty simple. Alrighty folks, that is the end of the video. Go ahead and consider hitting subscribe or hitting the like button. I'll see you guys next time.